Welcome to the Indie Game Clinic, where I play a game that someone out there has sent me and I tell them how they could make it better. If you're watching and you're a game developer yourself, or you're just getting into game development, this will help give you some ideas, kind of teach you some general principles about game design, game development, and creativity in general. What was that? And we can all learn from it, and wouldn't that be nice? And then we can all make slightly better games, because the developer who sent me their game today has made that little sacrifice of being willing to be publicly critiqued in this fashion. So without further ado, let's see what we're playing today. I love the concept of your channel. I'm currently working on an RPG game, which is mostly a solo project, and I'm having difficulty getting feedback since I have no social media presence. Any assistance would be super helpful. I released a demo on Steam this week and the mechanics are mostly completed. The game is a remastered version of an old Flash game I made 14 years ago. Here's the original. Okay, that's interesting. In terms of scope, this is still a small game for an RPG. The demo contains about an hour of content and I follow the original closely. The full game should be around 8 hours long. To me, that's quite promising, because one of the things I'm always saying on this channel is you should aim for what in the industry they call a vertical slice, which is, you know, a block of content, whether it's 10 minutes long or an hour long or whatever, that is representative of your full game in terms of the total quality and everything like that. But don't spend that extra time making loads of extra levels, characters, abilities, whatever your content is in your game, until you know that smaller vertical slice is getting good feedback from playtesters and so on. Oh, I get to choose a character trait. I think that should be determined rather than determinate if it's to do with, being tough. They're all to do with skills that trigger when your hit points are low. I don't want my hit points to get low. And I'm just going to call my character Doc, because I'm silly like that. A dream traveler is an individual who possesses the unique ability to venture into an altered state of consciousness. This state of mind has brought many dream travelers into the world of Geo, a familiar land populated with shaped creatures. Regrettably, as of late, the dreams travelers have become extremely rare due to various factors. I wonder. I think each of these sentences could be subbed down and made shorter. Just dream travelers possess the unique ability. When you are showing people this first bit of story, you don't want someone to eye roll. Leave this stuff for later on. If you've got long, wordy bits, just make this as snappy as possible. Make this really to the point. You're not just introducing people to your fictional world, you're introducing them to your game. And if people's immediate sense is, oh, this is too wordy, and, you know, these words, they're not making me laugh, they're not making me feel a big emotion, they're just telling me stuff about a world I don't care about yet, then you're going to have a problem. Okay, we've got a big tutorial screen. Name and level. Experience. Gauge. Let me know in the comments if that's spelt right. Time of day. Events may occur during the day or night. Some events may occur at a specific hour. I'm going to say up front that this is not a good way to do a tutorial, but because of the nature of the game and the stage it's at, it is totally fine. It's better to have this information somewhere, but in an ideal world, the tutorial would be kind of something that you play through step by step, and then this would be like an encyclopedia that you could access later on to get that information if you've forgotten it, right? Environmental interaction. This doesn't need to be tutorialized. If you've got a context clue, like you walk in front of a bookshelf and it tells you what to press, that's all you need. You do not need to explain to someone how that works. Use your understanding of what other games do. Nothing particularly interesting. Already you've basically punished me for that interaction, because I've bothered to go and look at the bookcase and it says nothing particularly interesting. Some people might take that as a funny little joke. I don't. I feel like I'm having my time wasted. So I can push that onto the X. See, that's kind of cool, but it was a little bit confusing because it didn't necessarily look like it was on the ground. So you see, when I stand over it, it's shading over me. And the problem with that is it gives the impression that it's a interface laid on top of the game. So when I was seeing that initially, I didn't realize it was something on the floor I could interact with and push along. So we've already seen the kind of gimmick in the intro is that the people are shapes, and that's why it's called Geoland. That's the sort of thing that can sometimes feel like a kind of bit of a cop-out, like it's been done to make the game easy to make rather than because it's a creatively interesting idea for an audience to consume.
Welcome, traveller. You can call me Trey. I perceive you may be unfamiliar with our kind. We are Geos, sentient beings existing in a non-corporeal state within the universe.
That's how triangles talk.
And yes, all living creatures in this realm take the form of basic shapes.
I guess our creator was a little lazy on that part. I hate it. I really do not like this. Making little quips about how your game isn't trying hard enough in a particular way. If you want to do that sort of thing, if you want to use self-deprecating humor in your art, whether you're making games, music, film, whatever, and you want to turn to the camera and wink at the audience, you need to build up some goodwill first. And already I've had an overlong, Star Wars in the beginning type story that I've had to read. Tutorials shown to me that are like big, like flash game tutorial screens. And then this gag. You haven't built up enough goodwill to make this gag, yeah? Doesn't land well unless the thing is kind of already proving to be good in other ways. It's not a good look. But I do try and approach games holistically. I do try and talk about things like the overall creative direction and the story and the art style and everything. Now, the art style here is a bit of a mixed bag. I think it's quite cute. You can probably nitpick certain details which look a bit wrong or a bit goofy. But one of the things I will say is it feels like there's a consistency to this image when you look at the whole screen. It's all within the same sort of range in terms of the color palette, and the UI and everything that we can see up the top feels like it belongs to the same game. Could say that's even maybe gone a bit too far because the kind of UI all being brown, it kind of gets a little bit lost. But overall, this image is kind of the first point in the game where I felt mildly impressed by what I'm looking at. So that's a good thing, right? And let's kind of see if it continues. Sleeping in a bed will allow you to either fast forward the time to 6 or 8 p.m. Okay. There are just certain things that you do not need to explicitly tutorialize. The way I see it is in the first 30 minutes of your game, or the first couple of hours of your game even, when you're onboarding the player, you need to give them tutorials about everything that they need to do in order to have fun. So if they need to know how to move or to engage in combat or whatever core mechanics allow them to do the fun part of the game, you need to teach them how to do that. But stuff like this, where you can just find out by accident and then maybe give people a bit more information later on. Perhaps opening this drawer wouldn't be a good idea. Why not? Why wouldn't it be? Is there something bad in there? Clothes, books, leftovers, yes, everything's in there. Okay. Better not open this drawer. It's got two different interactions. I have to press it again. Nope. What's in there? Okay. You've created some intrigue now. Is my character an unreliable narrator and they've got all body parts and stuff in there? Is it that kind of game? Hello, Doc. Still having those dreams, I see. It might not be the best time for you, but would you mind helping me find a mushroom? They can be found by defeating mini mushy monsters. Look at this guy, this character. And then this character, it's not creatively consistent. Now, I know it's very normal in JRPG style games to have a chibi on the map and then a more full-bodied character portrait when you speak to characters or in different contexts. But that works because the chibis are at such a different scale from the full-body portrait that the kind of portrait is giving you the full image and then the chibi is kind of leaving bits up to the imagination. The problem here is that the characters in the world are a bit too big and detailed for this kind of to work. There's nothing about the characters in the world that you look at that would indicate that the art style for the portrait is going to be this anime style. I know it's probably due to a kind of collaborative thing and different people working on different bits of the game. It's a mushroom. Okay, I can attack, I can run away, I can use an item, which is an apple. And I don't have any other options, so this is a game of clicking attack. Now, in terms of like feature completeness, look, we've got a lovely tooltip that when you hover over a skill, pops up, tells you what it does. Now that's good, right? That's the level of feature completeness that I kind of want anyone's game to be in before they make too much of it, you know? Get everything up to a decent level of quality and then test it a bunch with people before you decide to make a massive game. But I'm getting the problem that I always get with these games is that there's not much to do in the combat. It looked like there's a little thing to click to do a crit that just popped up, maybe. Good sound effect choices. Okay, that's nice, right? I went to hit, there was a thing to click in to make it a crit, and I sort of had to move the mouse away from where it was and click that. That's quite a nice adaptation to this style of combat. I think that's good. That kind of jump from this being an old Flash game into something that is now being made for Steam feels like it could potentially cause some problems. So far, this game feels a little bit like it's having a bit of an identity crisis. It's hard to tell who it's for. I could see this being the sort of game in a web browser on Flash or something, on a website like Armour Games, that like a teenager might play in their lunch break at school or something like that. It's definitely got that vibe, and the kind of light-hearted approach where it's not giving you too much story, it's not trying to go super deep on this world building and all of that kind of stuff. It does make sense for that audience, right? Because that's the kind of audience that might go, you know, I don't care about your epic quest or your world building. But it is kind of leaning on the side of being like an RPG, but very casual. You know, it's casual in its approach to the story, it's casual in its approach to the combat and the tactics, and it's very kind of forward with, you know, most of the text in the game being telling you how to play the game rather than trying to build up a story or a world. This is quite a good level of kind of completeness in terms of the features. Look at the amount of feedback that you get from an attack. You know, it would be good to have a sound effect when you miss, but there's like the character moves when you hit them, there's a sound effect, and you get the pop-up text. I'm a fan of that. I was pressing continue and not picking up the rewards. I would think that the default setting on this that most people will want to click would be take all. So I would have take all and sell all here and have take all on the bottom right, but you know, that's just kind of my gut feeling on it. What is this? Every 24 hours a new free gift will be available. The countdown until the next daily gift starts right after a roll is complete. As you gain levels, the rewards get better and better. This is really strange because this feels like an engagement mechanic from like a free-to-play mobile game or a Roblox game or a game that is vying for your attention to play it every day. This is a really odd thing to put in a single-player premium game that is not, you know, free-to-play. Very strange. Hello, welcome to the Siltar shop. This isn't really feeling like a single-player RPG where I'm going to get sent on a quest and everything. It feels more like a single-player MMO where I'm just a guy and like the first quest I've been given is just to farm some stuff. And it doesn't really have any story context. It's just, trigger some random combat, farm some stuff. It does feel like an MMO made for one person rather than an RPG. Hello, my name is Kate, and I just moved into town. Everybody say hello to Kate. Hello, Kate. It's kind of feeling a little bit aimed at small children. Games that you're trying to sell on Steam. It's like, is there a small children audience on Steam? Because that's what this feels like its target audience is. Blake Smith, blacksmith, the best blacksmith in town and the only one. That's a nice little tongue twister. I like that. Hello, can you give me a mushroom beating stick? She's called Anvil, and she works at the Anvil. Is that the kind of world this is? Is it a world where people have puns for names? Is it? How about I stick my head in here? Better not stay too close. Or what? I'll have to examine this bucket of water. It's a bucket of water. Look at this guy. Verdantix. Give it a whack. I really like that crit mechanic. It feels really nice when you pull it off. I know you had a similar thing in the South Park turn-based RPGs. At least add something to focus on. But the initial choice of what do I do in my turn is still not really a choice. It's just you attack until you don't want to attack and then you run away. And it's like, well, this is just blackjack, right? It's stick or twist. Or fold. That's the one. I'm going to look at my quests. Dream Travelers. Trey told me to speak to a knowledgeable person. Okay. I've got my mushroom. I give you my mushroom. Yeah. You give me apples and some coins. Seems fair. And now I need to find a knowledgeable person, but I have no way of knowing where they are, so I just wander around the town and going, hello, are any of you not stupid? No, I only want to talk to a knowledgeable person. Is it you? Are you knowledgeable? In the last few days, I've been having some issues coming home safely at night. I'll give you the details if you prove to be strong enough. Anything before level 3 would be crazy. Now, this is good. They kind of grayed out the bit that is the game direction text, which is kind of good. It's like drawing a line between the stuff that is character and the stuff that is game instruction. I think that's a good approach. If I read the book on your table, is it going to say some nonsense about what happens when I die or eat an apple or something? Working in half the mountain taught me to always keep my eyes open for the little things. This world is full of secrets. I don't necessarily have a problem with this art style. It matches the overworld, but it doesn't match at all with the anime dialogue characters. Just feels totally inconsistent. It's not like one thing is better than the other. They just don't go together. This character and the taller one in combat do look like they go together. And like I said, I'm sure it is down to who did what, but part of working as a team is to try and make styles match and make sure that the thing that you're making is cohesive, even if different people are making different parts of it. Who's this? I'm Helmet Man. I'll be leaving Silter Town with my 2 daughters to serve the king in Ertilon City in the near future. Oh, okay. Look, it's Oscar Isaac. We're finishing up the interior of that house before the new owner moves in. He's got little dungarees on. It's cute. Hello, are you knowledgeable? Cowled. I always had a talent for making good financial decisions. Uh-oh, it's a cryptocurrency guy. I guess that's why I am now a rich man. But I no longer find any joy in acquiring more wealth. What I like the most is helping others acquire their own wealth. He's a Geoland's YouTube multi-level marketing pyramid scheme wealth builder guy. You've just given me a quest called Banking. Gold wants to see if you can save up your gold. So I've had one quest to kill some mushrooms and give some mushroom bits to a guy to make soup. I got a quest to talk to a person who I don't know who it is, and I've got a quest to save up some money. These aren't quests that are designed to make me feel part of a world that has a rich story. These are, again, MMO style quests. They are kind of busy work to teach you game mechanics and to give you something to do. And you can kind of tell it started out life as a Flash game, because what it feels like is one of these life simulator games that you used to get in Flash all the time, where it's like you go around different parts of a town and you spend points to get better at different things, and you get them in Roblox as well. It kind of feels like a Flash game or a Roblox game. By that I don't mean anything to do with the quality of what it looks like or feels like. It's just the structure of these quests and the apparent lack of story. The things I'm being given to do are not setting me up to feel like I'm gonna like save the world or something. It's just sort of busy work that you would expect to do in an MMO or one of these more life sim type games. This tree could probably be burned with fire. So earlier, the protagonist didn't want us to look in his drawers, and now he's just having random thoughts about burning things. I'm playing a game where, you know, the character is a creep. He talks to triangles, has secrets in his own house that he won't even acknowledge to the player of his own game, and thinks about burning things. I am Aaron. I am Aaron. I am Aaron. I heard that if you click this guy 12 times, he eventually says something that justifies his existence. The thing about JRPG style towns where there are characters and they say one line is that the kind of pro of it is you only have to write one line for each character, but the con of it is that it needs to be a good line. It needs to, tell us something about that character or the world or the character's relation to the world. Having a character that just tells you their name, it's like, why is he there? There are so many points of narrative content, like characters that speak to you, signs, books, where it just feels like you didn't know what to put, so you put a little joke or something saying there's nothing interesting here. It's like, don't put the object in the environment if you don't want me to examine it. Like, there's a sign here that says this is a library, so don't put a sign next to it that I click on and it says there's nothing written on it. Very, very strange decisions. The dream area of this game also just doesn't feel particularly dreamlike, and I know that's a deeply subjective thing, and what a dream feels like to different people is gonna really vary from person to person. There's some good atmosphere here. It feels dark and foreboding. It kind of feels a bit creepy and otherworldly compared to the daytime part of the game or the waking part of the game. Why am I dreaming about a library with lots of puzzles in, and why does this world look so similar to the one that I've just left? Again, it feels like the dreaming mechanic or the theme of dreaming is just about teleporting you to a slightly different place. Doesn't feel like it really delivers on the theme of you are traveling to the dream world. You know, think of other media that have done that and pulled it off. You know, like lots of horror stories have done this, of kind of dream or nightmare worlds. It's like everything in the game was building up to that. You're the dream traveler, that's the special thing you can do, that's your chosen one status, and then it feels a bit, you know, deflating for that to just be, oh, I'm clicking on more bookshelves now. When I was a kid, I always used to dream about having a jetpack and you know, not walking around in a library solving puzzles. Why are there puzzles in my dreams? They're terrible. It's what happens if you eat too much cheese before you go to bed. From what you're telling me, you were very close to reaching the state of mind that opens the gates to the world of Geo. While I have never experienced it myself, I have met multiple dream travelers in the past. Perhaps I can help you. Now, although all this interface for like collecting items and stuff, again, does give it that kind of very Flash game, very Robloxy life simulator kind of vibe. It is well done. It's well executed. It kind of feels okay to interact with. Kind of like weird arcadiness to that kind of interface for a genre of game which is usually supposed to be a bit more about kind of story and world building. Just go in that guy's bedroom, take his midnight tonic. Can I just drink it now? Improve your dreaming capability. Nice. Gone into this guy's house in the library. I've gone into his bedroom. I'm gonna drug myself and get into his bed. Can you see any potential problems with the setup here? Look at that. That's cool. There's something cool happening. Am I in a dream now? Hello, pillow. What was that? You are now dreaming. If you lose a battle in your dreams... Yeah, okay. I at least wanted to give the game enough of a try to get to this point where we're in the dream world, because it seems like a lot of the game is trying to make the dream world the exciting, interesting part. So let's see if it is. One door was shut, but two books revealed the hidden chamber. Inside, two torches at the entrance illuminated the passage. At the end, one scroll awaited. But before going forward, don't forget the two apples. One door, two books. Two torches, one scroll. Two apples. One door, two books. Two torches, one scroll. Okay. I can click them in any order. There's no way of resetting them. Inside, two torches at the entrance illuminated the passage. And if these are torches, then why are they candles? Because a torch and a candle is a different thing. This is the sequence that I'm supposed to trigger with the books, maybe? 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Let's try that. So, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Did it? Okay. That's alright. The fact that this is telling the story of what's going to happen in this room and the next room kind of confuses the puzzle a little bit, because it kind of throws you off from thinking that it's about the books labeled 1 and 2. But it's kind of okay. We got there in the end. Stuck for like 2 minutes or something. Hidden Siltar Library. It says that monsters can sometimes drop clues for puzzles in the room they're located in. Oh, that's nice of them. Hidden in the dreams, but not far away from Nightmare. Nothing particularly interesting, but there seems to be something hidden behind. Okay, some way of moving that is not apparent within this room. It looks like this block could be unlocked with the help of a magical key. Don't like it. Again, it just feels like an excuse to not have the art. It's totally valid to make decisions about your game based on what is more feasible or what's easier for you to do. But if that ends up being too obvious to your audience, then it will make what you're doing feel cheap and lazy. And at the moment, I can't see any reason why this is a bunch of triangles other than that. Right, it's not something that is well justified by the fiction of the game or the setup of the game. The shape creatures don't really justify their own existence. The dream world doesn't feel dreamy enough to not just be a random place you've been teleported to. I think Geoland really hits upon one of the recurring issues that I see with games that I look at is just not really identifying the audience and the audience's needs. Now, if you're an indie game developer, you might not want to think that way because it feels a bit too businessy, it feels a bit too product designy, it doesn't feel like something an artist would do. The problem that I see with this game for the Steam audience is that the Steam audience generally want a bit more complexity, and if the complexity is not there in terms of the kind of puzzles being a bit deeper or the combat being a bit deeper or both, then the audience you're going to get is going to want the story to be a bit deeper, and at the moment there is a little bit of a story here, but again the shapes conceit feels like a bit of a cop-out. It feels like it's a decision that has been made around the goal of making the game easier to produce rather than around the goal of making a more interesting game that has a unique story to tell. You might even have read the book Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions by the English schoolmaster Edwin Abbott from 1884. That novel was using simple shapes to kind of make caricatured satirical points about the real world. The kind of geometry theme is there to do something for the audience. It's not just there to do something for the author by making their job easier. So unless you have a really good reason for making triangles your enemies, you need to try a bit harder at having an audience facing reason for that, because the one that's in here is very weak, and that opening joke it's not a great way to get people on your side early on in your game. I just don't think that works. It falls totally flat for me. Pun intended. There's nothing wrong with a world where shapes are people, and there's nothing wrong with a world where there are dream travelers, but those things feel very thematically confused, and I can't work out why dreaming takes you to a world of shapes. That's not what happens when I dream. When I dream, all of my teeth fall out, my dad pops out of a bin and says he's not proud of me and he's on fire. There's never any triangles or any geometric shapes really. It's all very wobbly and quite grotesque. Gentle Poke is a funny name for an enemy attack. Again, the combat kind of feels okay because of that critical hit mechanic, and the sound design is good. The kind of feedback you get from hitting enemies is good. It's okay as far as one of these, turn-based, don't really make any decisions type combat systems goes. It's well executed at least, but that triangle guy, no. The turn-based combat doesn't have any interesting strategic or tactical decisions baked into it. But I'm not going to have enough health to beat one of those guys in combat and get another magical key, so I'm kind of stumped at this point. I'd like some regeneration. Will that let me heal outside of combat if I just walk around with regeneration? Yeah, I get some health back. That's good. I don't think I'm going to survive this. Oh, look. It's like a star turtle. get it next time. There won't be a next time, unfortunately, because I haven't enjoyed this experience enough to want there to be a next time. So this is a very presumptuous piece of text. It's like going on a date with someone and saying, see you next time, putting this kind of text in your game, because we're not even in the honeymoon stage, we're just in the talking stage, me and this game, and I've already seen lots of stuff that put me off. If you want your own review on my channel, then all you have to do is email me at indiegameclinic@gmail.com. It's not first come, first served. I play through the games in order of what I think it would be interesting to cover next. The developers who do submit their games and get reviewed on the channel also get an invite to my Discord server, which is a kind of mixture of people who are helping support this channel via Patreon and via YouTube subscriptions, and all those developers who have been on the show. A game development community that is specifically for people who are either professional or, at high end or kind of intermediate level game developers, and to not have too many absolute beginners in there who are just saying things like, how many buttons should my game use? How do I install Unity? How do I delete a folder on my computer? How many colors are in the rainbow? I started making games 2 weeks ago, and now I want to know how to make £1 million. I, for one, am quite tired of game development environments that are filled with that kind of stuff, and that's why I set up this Discord server. I also have a background as a tutor. I've worked in universities teaching game development for a few years, and you might think, yeah, so what, that doesn't make you a proper game dev. Well, I've made lots of games as a hobbyist, and I've also worked in a number of different studios in both design and production roles. While there are lots of good YouTubers out there teaching about game development and teaching about how to make indie games, the thing that I do that's slightly different is I focus on the actual game design, which is the design of the gameplay and the design of the player experience. That is often the area where people are most weak in, where they are learning as a hobbyist, because often you kind of think design is just making what you want to make and just grinding and grinding and grinding, and hopefully learning about game design rather than just treating game development as a technical hobby, and kind of learning about design through this channel will help you to make better games faster, because it's a matter of working smart rather than working hard. I don't necessarily agree with the culture that valorizes people working themselves to death in their spare time to make a game that is far too ambitious. I'd much rather help people make sensibly scoped games that actually have a very good chance of success, because they are designed for someone and designed with a particular goal in mind in terms of making people happy, which is what games are for. That's what games do. Please leave any feedback that you have on the game below, because the developer will see that and might be able to use it as well. And I'll leave a link to the demo if you want to check it out for yourself, which is always a nice thing to do. Nice to get more eyes on the game. My opinion on the game isn't definitive. It's not the only opinion. And proper playtesting for a game should be dozens and dozens of people, even for a relatively small project. So I'm definitely not the be all and end all when it comes to opinions on this game. So the more people that we can get playtesting some of the games that pop up on this channel, the quicker those developers will improve, and the quicker they'll get to a point where their games are kind of doing well and getting lots of wish lists and lots of sales and making lots of people happy, hopefully. Thanks for watching, and let's make better games.